I think the thing that for me early on was just saying a lot was the big difference from the American accent. I've always said I'm the Rosa Parks of the C word, right? Yeah, burning down Dana Carvey's house did not get picked up.
And they go, quickly, any other just quick pitches for season 3, or is that the one we're going with?
If the aliens came down and they said, give us your 2 best, not just looking, just your best human beings, and we gave them Hugh Jackman and Margot Robbie, come on now. You can't get better than those 2.
That's true.
What's with this? You like kind of
Okay, welcome to Fly on the
dance
Wall,
partner?
which is it's sort of been thrown together year 7. We almost worked the bugs out. This is Dana, and we're going to tell you a couple
we've
things.
resolved an issue because we had Superfly and we had Fly on the Wall, and I know someone personally who had a mental breakdown because she could not process it. She went into an institution for a brief period of time. I talked to her last week.
In the funny
I
farm.
just never understood. Superfly and Fly on the Wall, what's the difference? I never could do it. And I shook her. I said, David Spade solves all problems, slapped her face, and she goes, I feel so much better.
You know, I have friends, they finally figured it out, and now we switched it.
What?
They finally figured out how to do Superfly in the other one, and then we switched it. So everyone's confused. It'll take a few years, and then everyone's going to get it. But I will tell you.
2037.
I have a quick story that I have a question about 4th of July. And I think, because I saw some Joe Dirt, it's kind of a Joe Dirt holiday, this one. This is where I get the most
It's Joe Dirt
memes
summer,
and
of
shit,
course, with folded in that, it's a Joe Dirt holiday.
It's sort of baked in, right?
David Spade summer, but Joe Dirt.
So I feel like I want to get a big company to do Joe Dirt fireworks and have the spleen splitters and the whisker biscuits and all those things.
I think that'd be funny.
It'd be funny.
And at the end, it's fireworks, but it goes into a whole gigantic Joe Dirt image. Like
I
100
mean,
feet high.
in a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say that. It won't do that, but we'll say it could do that. And also, just the Roman candles, just a shoom, shoom. Roman candles are great. A couple black cats. You know, do a mixed bag. Because I've seen some fake
the
ones.
lingo? What are you, a fireworks specialist?
I'll show you a clip of the movie, but
Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete. What are your favorite firecrackers when you grew up? Do you remember any?
The actual firecracker was fun. My friends and I were in a Volkswagen Bug, and we were going around town smoking weed, high school, throwing firecrackers out the window.
Sure.
Fucking. So we're lighting them and throwing them,
That's fun.
lighting them and throwing them. I see someone in the front seat. They're lighting and throwing them. I see the other person rolling up the window.
Uh-oh.
So the guy literally lit the firecracker. The window
Tunk.
closed. A kunk, and then I 3, 2.
And then everyone goes, "Ooh." I've done that with gum. Stunk right in the window, and I go, Heather.
Is this airing before or after 4th of July?
It's airing right after.
Day before?
Oh, it is? Okay.
Oh, all right.
That's still good.
What's okay? I have another.
I want to ask, do you have another firecracker story? There cannot be another one.
4th of July story.
Okay, go ahead.
We're up in the peninsula, and Candlestick Park is blowing off up there. The San Francisco Giants is blowing off fireworks, and we're down in the peninsula, and we're looking up. And I said, "Look 'em candle." So my friends again were pretty high, so they laughed for like 2 hours. Look 'em candle, and then. When a friend would go down to grab his beer or water or something, you'd always say, "Oh, you just missed it." And that became our running gag.
That's not a bit.
You just missed the best one.
The best one. I always think the last one is not, like I go, that's the last one's got to be. And then there's more.
Well, that's just funny when they're like, and then it's fading out. Okay. And then they go, yo, it's got to be the finale. Wait a second. And then another build up,
Yeah.
Oh, good. You got the sound effects.
That helps it. All right. Puff Daddy trial. Puff Daddy trial.
Okay.
What would, Scooby?
Well, here, and now we're going with the Scooby News, brought to you by Scooby-Doo and Casey Kasem, starring as Shaggy.
Yeah. So catch us up,
Well,
Shaggy.
P. Diddy's trial is resting, Scoob. Okay, you do the dog.
Okay.
P. Diddy's trial is resting, Scoob. Apparently he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil. No one knew what he was doing with them, Scoob. What do you think they were doing? What?
Anal.
We can't say that on a podcast,
I
a
barked.
PG-13 podcast.
I said, "Rrr."
Oh, yeah. I understand what you're saying, Scoob, but I don't ever want to go to a freak off at P. Diddy's. Now let's make like a banana and split.
Zoinks.
Yoinks.
Ooh, there's a pastrami sandwich.
Phil's over there going, what did I sign up for?
Fuck, he knows his
Oh my
face. He goes,
God.
this isn't the real thing, is it?
When
Yeah.
do the real guys come in?
I think
it's not the A-team, is
if
it?
Puff Daddy gets off, which he might have by this time,
His ego will be puffed up. Go
there's a
ahead.
lot of people that want him to get off. They just say, oh,
They want him to get off.
they want to
all
beat
right.
the court system. Fuck those guys. They're just trying to hassle Puff. He's great.
Mhm.
And he'll run out and be such king cock because he'll be like,
King
now
Kong.
everyone knows what I do. So if you're actively joining in, you get it and you're in. So
Mhm.
that will happen. Will he go to prison? I'd say the odds right now are against him going to prison, but I don't know everything. What do you think?
Like we said, it's
Just a
horrible,
guess.
but is it illegal to have a freak off with baby oil? Was it consensual or,
Even when people say it wasn't consensual.
in another interesting court case, shockingly, the Idaho killer
Oh, that
wants admitted guilt if he can have life in prison. And I don't know why everyone thought he was guilty, but his photo looked like this.
He's terrifying. By the
I
way,
would never do that to anybody.
I like when they have all these new things like they go, but we pinged your phone right where the murders were. He's like, what? Well, you can do.
I
You
can't
do that.
believe it. The
Yeah.
Idaho killer says he's guilty. No one ever looked that guilty. Do you see the picture, Scoop?
Oh, no. He looks crazy.
We have two new characters.
I don't know the Scooby News.
You're
It's-
Scooby Doo and I'm Shaggy. I'm not
Scooby's
saying
good. It's hard to
repeat.
understand him.
Well, that's the funny part.
Yeah. You
How
gotta,
would he say "fuck you"? Ruck you, right?
Mm.
Now you're doing Sandler.
He tried.
Anyway, what else you got, David?
Anyway,
Any more
yeah,
on
so
the P.
Puff-
Diddy trial?
Good for him. Wrap it up in a nutshell.
Good for him. Nice little
Wrap it
story.
up in a ribbon.
Cute little local story.
Oh, okay. So last week we had Julie Bowen. A lot of people watched it. A lot of people
Mhm.
commented. A lot of people listened. And I thought she was very fun, entertaining
She's great.
guest. Bust my balls. But I do have I have a quick fix because I said we sat courtside one time at a game. I
Yes.
mean, years ago. And she said, no, it was great, but they were like seventh row. I found proof.
You were courtside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so Julie Bowen, got it wrong or lied?
No, just
Not like that.
got it. Okay. Let me see where the picture is. Dick pic, dick pic, dick pic, dick pic, dick. Here it is. Okay.
Why you not only do you have the dick pic, you have to say every time you go by.
I
it,
see one dick pic.
You know it's a
I'm
dick pic, so
scrolling.
why do you keep mentioning it?
Because I'm just thinking out loud, like, okay, that's that. Okay, here's one.
I understand.
Look at that hat.
Oh wow.
What a damn fool.
God.
Then she looks great.
She looks great now. I mean, she's not.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
And look, and then it says here, NBA courtside seats.
God. Oh, look, you've got your tongue in her ear and everything. I don't want
Sir.
to see that.
No.
You just-
Receipts proof timeline.
Yeah. See?
Oh,
So I did send them to her and just said, hey,
I like
just so you
everything I'm
know.
hearing.
And she goes, I don't know if that's true. I'm like, you don't know if proof is true? Okay.
She still thinks it's a AI fake.
Everyone thinks
Is that
everything's
it?
AI.
That's funny.
Okay, other than that, what else on the docket? Real quick. I got real quick and I
Docket it
cannot talk
up.
more. Oh, I had here's my show in Portland on the weekend.
Mhm.
The quick story was it was a beautiful day in Portland, 72 degrees, the nicest day they've had all year. And I have a show inside and it stays light till like 10. So
yeah.
I don't even want to go to my show. And then I see some people in Calvary would say, go, oh no, you have a show tonight? Because we're going to go see Post Malone and Jelly Roll. And I'm like, oh. I go, really? That sounds fun. It does, kind of. And they go, yeah, it's outdoors.
An outdoor carnival
30,000 people.
festival.
I get home, the news is live from there. When I get back to my room, I go, uh-huh. And they're like, we're out here with Jelly Pop, and he is really tubby. And let's show a wide shot, really wide. I'm kidding. I think he's skinny now.
well,
I think they're merging into the same person, him and Post Malone. Covered in
Jelly Roll,
tattoos, singing songs I don't know. I don't know. It's all
they
about-
did. You did well. I mean, you
I did well,
you did
but
very well.
I wanted it to be like off the hizzle.
Well, you were backstage. I had a local news feed because I follow you around Portland, Portland Action News, and they had a guy out there and people in line going in, and you go, "How do you feel about Dave?" Well, we love David Spade, but it's so freaking nice out. We're really
Yeah.
torn. I go,
That's
you know,
very true. All right, let's get to Jim Jefferies. We've had our fun.
We've had our fun.
We're going to slow things down a bit. Jim Jefferies is a good bud and fun
I
dude
just
I've
did my
golfed
serial
with.
Killer face. Sorry,
Oh, you want to do the serial killer face?
I just
before we
did
go
it.
on? Okay.
I threw it out as a coda.
Get out of your system.
Jim Jefferies.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. We already started? Is this started?
No,
Yeah,
we're
it's almost
halfway
over.
through. To be honest, we don't have any structure or introduction or anything. No, we'll
Or
do all that later.
content or anything.
Well,
Just-
obviously, I've met David. I've met David many times before, and I've never.
Yeah.
I've met you in passing, Dana. But I'm a big fan, mate. I'm very excited to do.
I
this
saw
podcast.
you go crush. We met at John Lovitz's comedy club, right?
That's correct. That's
Oh.
correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
A while back, and you were kind of unassuming. You had your accent and everything, whatever. And it was a kind of a rough room because that high stage and everything. But
That's
then
like
you just
3
you did-
stories.
then you killed. And I go, God, this fucking guy, man.
Got some game.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know
Yeah,
when
Jim
that
Jefferies
where
got
that was. Yeah, Jefferies is that's you. Powerful and funny. I was going to ask you that. Like you were one of the first that really stepped outside the lines in some of your early specials. Like,
Yeah.
and comedians love it because I don't do that, but I love when I see someone who's literally saying exactly what they want to say without any censorship. It's you do it.
I think the thing that for me early on was just saying cunt a lot was the big difference
Nice.
from the American accent. I've always said I'm the Rosa Parks of the C word, right? Because before
A lot of
me-
people are saying that. A lot of
Yeah.
people.
Before me, there was a restriction. You couldn't say it in the comedy club. You could say whatever you want. So my first comedy special for HBO, I swear to God, right? I swear to God, had a light at the back of the room, and it was a 15-minute mark. You know how us comics, we normally have a light when we have 5 minutes left,
Sure.
right?
Right.
To get off the stage. I don't know if many people know that, but that's what we have. We have a light at the end of the room to tell us when to get off the stage. I had a light that at 15 minutes lit up, and that meant I was allowed to say the word cunt because HBO said to me, the ratings go in 15-minute increments. We want people to like you. We don't want them to turn off in the first 15 minutes, so you can't say the C word for the first 15 minutes. So I had a light at the back, and at 15 minutes, I say Aunt Panda's a bunch of cunts, and then I was off to the races.
Can I plummet the ratings now?
Well, let me
Yep.
ask you a question. Are you like if an American hears either a British or Australian accent saying the word can't,
Yeah.
it's softer to our ears. Are you guys
Yes.
enamored as Australia? Should I go down there and play little tiny clubs? Not like I'm a huge star anymore, but I would play down there. Are they enamored by the way our accents are? Like we are enamored of Australian and British accents.
The short answer is no, we're not. You asked the big star down there. Your movies are massive. The difference is we grew up watching your TV all the time. So we've seen American sitcoms since that's why there's so many Australian actors doing American accents in films and not the other way. So we grew up watching stuff, which is weird because when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of like Wayne's World, right? Loved Wayne's World. Didn't know it was a sketch from SNL because we never had SNL in Australia.
Oh.
That was never a thing. So some of the movies that came out of SNL just seemed a little odd to us because we didn't have a show. It's like MacGruber. You were like, where's MacGruber come from? I don't know, you know what I mean?
Also,
Yeah,
you
well,
thought Garth
that's
was a
funny.
real guy that just had done like 10 movies and now he's doing Wayne's World. And you're like, oh, that Garth guy is pretty funny.
I
love Garth.
had a sitcom back in the day on FX, and it went for 2 seasons, and it was just about me
Welcome
taking.
to Cuntville.
Yeah, that was the one. It was called Legit, and Legit was about me taking care of a
That's right.
disabled guy, which was vaguely based on my real life. We almost had a season 3, but season 3, the whole entire arc of season 3 that I'd written out, Dana Carvey was the main character, and I was going to ask you to be in the show, and you were going to play
Whoa.
yourself. The plot line of the opening episode was I was taking care of my disabled friend in the wheelchair. My character had become famous doing stand-up by the end of season 2. I see your character, you, doing an impersonation of me on a late-night show. I'm all coked up and I get upset. And so I go over to your house to confront you, but I'm chicken, so I can't knock on the door. So I get the shit out of the disabled guy's wheelchair colostomy bag and I put it into a paper bag, and then we go up, we put it on the doorstep to light it and do the classic, light the dog shit, run away.
Right.
But we forget to knock on the door and your house burns down. And that's the whole season arc from then on, that I'm your only friend and you're sleeping on my couch. And I hadn't even really met you at that
God
stage.
dang.
But if you didn't take it, I was going to ask David to do the role. I had options.
I'll do it.
Wow, and that
You can
did
throw
not
the
get
shit on
picked
me.
up for season 3.
Did
It's
not get picked up.
extraordinary.
Yeah, burning down Dana Carvey's house did not get picked up.
And they go quickly. Any other just quick pitches for season 3, or is that the one we're going with?
I've got full scripts. I wrote the whole thing out. I thought it was a good premise.
By the way, the weirder the better, I say. Like some of these shows are too by the book and you just can figure them all out. If you start that way, I'm in.
Well, the first episode of season 1 was just me taking a disabled guy to a brothel, which is something I did in my real life. I had a friend with muscular dystrophy, and before he died, I took him to a brothel. And so it's a sweet story, you know. He couldn't get laid. It's legal in Australia. I should add that being disabled is legal, and prostitution. And
they finally passed the being disabled bill.
I'm so glad.
and I took him down to the brothel, and this guy had died a couple of times. Like his heart had given away, and he'd been resuscitated. So me and his brother took him down with the full knowledge that this might go tits up. You know what I mean? So we laid him down, and then, you know, the girl did what she did, and then we put him back in the chair, and then we went off and had a couple of drinks, and that was our day. Now I told the story to so many people. I made a sitcom about the story, and then cut to a few years later, I see him, and he's like, "Hey, you made a lot of money out of that story." And I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "You should take me to the brothel again. It's only fair, right?" So I'm thinking this guy's going to get his second blowjob in his life. I'm going to do it, right? I'll take him again. And I went down, and they all greeted him like he was Norm from Cheers. It turns out that he gives this sob story to everyone. As soon as he walked in, they were all like, "Dan."
By the way, was he disabled, or do we know?
And
does the ween work? I don't know.
Did his experience go? I don't know how Australians think of this phrase. Did it go tits up or not tits up?
Down?
It went tits down, I think. Tits down. She was on top
tits
of it.
Down something you say or not?
No one says tits down. Tits up is when something goes badly. There's no tits down. No.
Right. Yeah. That's American too.
Feels like
I think the term tits up means that, like a banana peel slip, like whoosh, and up in the air, tits up.
Mm-hmm.
It means a bit of slapstick, I think.
I want to have Australian actors, because I've just noticed that they're not only good at American accents, they're perfect.
Yeah.
And I start with Russell Crowe, immaculate. And I don't know why that is. And the Australian actors you send us all seem alpha. You know? Nobody's kind of like a little guy, or there always seem to be kind of
they bring
hulking,
men, big hulky. There's
Hemsworth.
There's a third Hemsworth though that's a lot shorter, who also is an actor. There's the two main ones, and there's a third one. But
tiny Hemsworth exists.
And he's the eldest brother, and he's the one who started acting first. He's really nice, but the other two good-looking ones came along and went, "We'll have a go."
Oh, he's not good-looking either.
Well, he's good. No, he's good-looking by our standards, but not as a Hemsworth. You know,
he cremates us, but
against those two next to me, he looks just great. But I'll tell you my one. Russell Crowe story, because you mentioned Russell.
Oh, you know all these guys.
There's like 10 Australians, right? But you know the comedian David Williams?
Mm-hmm. From Australia? Liverpool?
He's British. He's on Little Britain, was his sketch show.
Oh, guy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember that show.
Yeah, he's the judge of Britain's Got Talent or something like that. So
now I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he's kind of pale, really pale, and kind of chubby face. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So David, and Russell were going out to dinner, and Russell lives at the end of this pier and in the harbour, and on the bottom story of the pier are all these fancy restaurants along Sydney Harbour, right? They're all like lined up along Sydney Harbour. And so we went down the lift, we started walking through the car park. And so it's just a car park with a few sort of like exit doors to different shops and stuff along the pier. And I said, "Well, what restaurant are we going to?" He goes, "Oh, we're going to this Chinese restaurant. I eat there once a week. It's one of the best Chinese restaurants you'll ever go to. I'm telling you, try the duck." Right. So we walking along, and then I go, "Well, how do we get into it?" And he goes, "I just walk in through the back. They know me." Right. So we get to the door. Russell just bashes through the door. He goes past. There's a bloke like washing dishes, probably thinking it's someone from ICE coming to get him. Right. Yeah. He's just washing dishes out the back. Then we go into like Then we go into the kitchen and there's like all the chefs in the clean bit, right? So Russell bounds through. He's way ahead of us. Then me and David go in through the restaurant like this. We're like, so sorry for coming in through the back. We're very much looking forward to the meal. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate you. We get out into the dining area and Russell's just standing there and he goes, wrong restaurant. I went a door early.
I
went a door early, and so it was like the most famous man in Australia, followed by one of the second most famous people in Australia, followed by me, and it just was a cavalcade of shit. We had to go back out in the street and walk out and come back in again. Anyway, he does a very good American accent.
Yeah,
he's a brilliant actor. I mean,
he's one of the best actors you'll ever see.
Master and Commander. If anyone listening has never seen it, it's like a miracle of a movie. Russell Crowe in that, the whole ship at sea. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
It gets you seasick, that film, if you watch it in the cinema. There's a lot of rocking around.
yeah.
I think so. So you're huge in the UK. I saw your tour. So what's the name of your tour? God's son?
Son of a carpenter. My father's a carpenter, and it's just an easy reference point. But yeah, I'm son of a carpenter. I've as much tried to say it.
It is extraordinary. You're playing Istanbul. You're playing massive dates, Manchester, all over Europe.
What do you talk about?
What the fuck?
Well, I got my comedy chops in Britain. I did most of my early work in the UK. I went to the UK 2001 and sort of stayed there till 2010, and then I moved to America. But the British comedy circuit, I think, is the best in the world because the cities are so close together. You're never getting on an airplane. You're going 50 miles, Liverpool to Manchester, Manchester to Leeds. You can double up in cities. You can do an early spot in one city and then end up in, you can start in one country. You can start in Scotland and then finish in England for your night. You know what I mean? It's an interesting place.
I got to get a map.
Count me in. But
well, I can get you gigs. You two would do all right. You'd do just fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, what are we talking? Big clubs or small theaters or small arenas, big arenas?
You could. I think you would do some medium to large theaters. You know, but let's not book the O2 just yet. But let's see how the first tour goes.
You'd rather sell it out than the 10%ers book you in something too huge. What's the biggest room you will play on this tour?
So I have done the O2 before, but on this tour I'll do the Hammersmith. I'll do the Hammersmith Apollo, which is like 4,000, and I probably will do 2 shows there. You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
That's pretty juicy.
Yeah, but that's like a nice room, and then there's the Manchester Apollo, and then I think there's a gig in Amsterdam that's quite large that I'll do. I always do all right in Amsterdam. I've been gigging a lot in Amsterdam for the last 20 years. It's just before weed was legal, I always used to accept gigs in Amsterdam. It's like how now that I'm a family guy, I always seem to find gigs in Hawaii out of nowhere that I
to take the family?
Yeah, take the family. Yeah, I take the family to Hawaii. Yeah. I sell like 500 tickets, but it's fucking worth it because I get to go to Hawaii.
What culture, as when you were at your edgiest, I was going to ask you if you've adjusted anything just because you want to, or you're still just as edgy. What country accepted you? Are the British looser with this? Are we more patrician or, you know?
The British were the loosest country for comedy that I performed in, still to this day. Now, I've always said that like everyone always goes, what's the difference between performing in the different continents and countries? Comedy's comedy, laughs are all the same, but the heckling changes. So I believe that Americans try to correct you. If an American heckles you, they're always like, hey, buddy, I'll tell you what, my sister had blah, blah. You know what I mean? They're trying to get into an argument or prove you wrong. Australians are trying to trip you up. So if you get close to a punchline, they'll just go, I can't. And they'll just yell something out so you just get off your speed a little bit.
Delightful.
They're niggly little fucks, right? And then the British try to out-joke you. They try to say something funnier than you. There's a classic story, right? That down at the London Comedy Store, Michael Douglas's brother, Jeff Douglas or something. I don't know. One of the other Douglases.
One of the other Douglases.
One of the other Douglases, Kurt Douglas's son. He's having a bad gig at the London Comedy Store, he starts getting booed or a few jeers or whatever. And so he tells them all to fuck off. And he goes, you can all fuck off. I don't need this. I'm Kirk Douglas's son. And then one person stood up and went, I'm Kirk Douglas's son. And then another person said, I'm Kirk Douglas's son. And they did the entire scene from Spartacus. The British are very good. They're very good.
I have a quick story that involves the C word. So
Okay.
Spartacus, right?
Used to be cancer, but we're changing.
So
it.
Kirk, I know, we're going to set the record. Anyway, this is so random and it'll amuse like 3% of our audience. So Kirk Douglas is in Spartacus and he's really kind of buff and, muscular. And Laurence Olivier is in there. So the guy sees Laurence Olivier. He's this famous old British actor, super famous. And he's doing leg presses really hard. They go, oh, Larry, you're really working out. Yeah. He goes, I'm doing Spartacus and I don't want that cunt Kirk Douglas to out physicalize me. That's all I got.
Physicalize.
That was a legitimate use of the word from a story I was told.
Yeah, that's an historical use of the C word.
Do you see Margot Robbie at Icebergs a lot?
Margot, what's Iceberg? Oh, the Iceberg's the restaurant in Bondi. You know about icebergs? Jeez, you
look
have
at
trouble.
me. Look out, Dana. Look at me.
Well, where's Bondi?
Bondi Beach is a popular beach that's close to the city centre in Sydney, right?
Okay.
And it's where all the British people get sunburnt and skin cancer over Christmas. But there's a restaurant there that overlooks like a public pool. The public pool has ocean water that pours into it, which is kind of interesting. It's a fancy restaurant. I've never met Margot Robbie. I'm a fan. I once was the other guest on Kimmel when Margot Robbie was on
really?
Kimmel.
Yeah, that's great.
You know how like you're a guest on those shows, you never meet the other guests?
Yeah,
like
you have to make a point of it because they're like somewhere else. You don't even know where they are.
Yeah, they're in a different dressing room, and then you come on, then you leave, or they've already left, and you're the second guest, and then they're already in their car. They're gone, right? So I've been on like episodes of those shows. Bill Clinton was on one, never met him. Right? These different people. But Margot Robbie was the other guest. And so her dressing room was next to mine. And I just sort of lingered in the hallway, just like acting like I was looking for something. Just because I'm Australian, I have an in. I could have gone, hey.
You know how to linger. You can linger.
Yeah. She would have accepted me saying the C word in front of her. It would have been music to her ears.
I'm a local. Don't you hate all these Americans here? That's what I would have said.
Exactly. I would have said something like that. But I tell you what, you got to give it up. The Margot Robbie flying the Australian flag. Is there a better person on? If the aliens came down and they said, give us your two best, not just looking, just your best human beings, and we gave them Hugh Jackman and Margot Robbie. Come on now. You can't get better than those two.
That's true.
Let's see. I'll see your Hugh Jackman and Margot Robbie and raise you Jennifer Aniston and Russell Crowe. David?
Okay.
No, Russell Crowe is he saying Australian versus America?
We're saying the two best humans.
The two best humans we give to the aliens to represent us, to go, this is what we've got. Okay, first of all, Russell can't bloody dance and tap dance and stuff like. He's not a triple threat like you.
That's true. He's a triple threat. That Hugh Jackman.
But he can sing. That guy can sing. He's like
your buddy Brad Pitt. We'll throw him in there.
Brad. Yeah, well, Brad's brilliant. Yeah, of course. You were talking about Brad off the air about how what is he 61 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he still looks amazing. Like the fact that we have a 61-year-old, and I haven't seen the movie, that we are going to watch drive a Formula One car and go, yep, that seems about right. Like,
when they're forced to retire at like 30.
Yeah. He should have a bloody special pass for the bus, Brad Pitt, at his age, and he's going to be driving a Formula One car.
Sure, and then Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible.
I saw Mission Impossible. Yeah, I got to co-sign that movie. It's brilliant. Tom Cruise.
I haven't seen the new one yet. Was
he in the submarine for too long?
It's the greatest movie ever, and then you're like, well, no, just see it. Definitely see it. Yeah, it's very cool. You don't want to overblow something. But as far as that, like, these people, they take care of themselves. We were talking about that before the podcast. The old-timey actors, it was booze and cigarettes, and they died around 60. So for you, like, one of your early specials.
But we just said Brad Pitt was a smoker. And Russell is a smoker, and then people, they're still smoking. Yeah. They've got some special, they're getting blood put into them.
You're like the audience correcting us. Like,
Well, that's true. But recovery, So I was going to, because one of your early specials really made me laugh. The only one I ever saw do this a little bit was Ricky Gervais. But during the special, I don't know if it's kind of like a set, you would wander around and all of a sudden from behind something, you'd pick up another pint of beer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know how many beers you did throughout the special, but that's something I've never seen. I know you stopped drinking, but do you look at those days as any kind of funniness? Or because to me, it really got my attention. Like, when's the next time he's going to grab a magic beer?
Okay, so I didn't know that was going to be a joke, and I only ever did that for the special. I never did that for my normal shows. I normally used to have my beers just on top of the box when I'm performing, just ready to grab. But because with a special, and I don't know if I'm doing some inside baseball stuff here, mostly we record 2 shows that night, edit it together, or just show the best one, right? And so they edited in every pint I had over 2 shows, so it did look like I had 7 pints in 1 hour. Right? So I can't take credit for I did not have 7 pints in 1 hour. Now the reason that they were behind the box was for continuity, because the level of the liquid be going up and down, and I'd be leaving empty glasses everywhere else. So just before I went out, they lined up for each show 4 pints of lager behind the thing. Now, back in the day, people used to like go on about what a great drinker I was. I actually was a really bad drinker. I would get drunk very, very quickly. It just so happened in those first 2 specials, I was also on cocaine. But if they asked, but that's the reason that was propping me up,
nice.
right? And I regret doing that in my life. And if my child is watching this podcast many years later, I was an idiot. But that was why I could drink. So I gave up all drugs when my son was born. When my son was born, I never took drugs again. When he's 12 now, and I never took drugs again. But I continued drinking, and everyone just thought I was a bad drinker. Everyone thought I was getting out of control. I was actually in recovery. Like,
so when you say like 2 lagers, like 2 pints,
2 pints,
then you were sort of drunk. I mean, like slurring and like.
I started slurring after 3 pints. Now, yeah. So then I did some specials, and I was just a dribbling mess in all the specials. But I was just, and so then my wife gets pregnant with my last child, who's about to turn 4. And I haven't had a drink since then. So, and I don't miss it at all anymore. Not at all. I don't miss any of it. Don't miss cigarettes. Don't miss alcohol. Don't miss drugs. I regret doing all of them, really. I feel a lot better.
Well, I was noticing that you look younger than the last time I saw you, basically. I mean, you look really good.
I'm not sweating as much as I used to. I used to be
you're shrunken it down. You're more of a, it's just so.
But I've never seen you messy, though. I think when I see you, it's maybe a more professional setting, but I've never seen you messy.
Well, not anymore anyway. But I just sort of knocked it on the head. The cigarettes was the hardest one. That's the hardest one to quit out of the lot is cigarettes. And I think that's, I read there was a book, Alan Carr, Stop Smoking. The secret to giving up cigarettes is this: you stop envying people who are smoking. It used to be you'd give up cigarettes for a while, and every time I'd see a cigarette, I'd go, oh, geez, I wish I could have a cigarette. You got to start looking at them like they're slaves to nicotine and that you're free. That's the only way. There's my motivational talk for the day.
Oh, that's good. Hey, I have another Kirk Douglas. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this totally fits. This fits better than the last one.
The last one was good. It was good. That muscly cunt Kirk Douglas. It was a good
I did a movie with Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster. So Kirk Douglas told me his dad was a chain smoker and then he quit. And I said, well, how did you do it? So his dad took a cigarette, put it in his pocket, and anytime he wanted a cigarette and he was Russian, he would pull it out and go, who is stronger, me or you? Me. He was so competitive that just stopped it. Who is stronger, me or you? Get back in pocket, cigarette. I am strong, man. You are fucking little rolled up nicotine whore. And that was the quote. I'm just quoting Kirk Douglas. I'm just quoting Kirk Douglas.
I was a nicotine whore back in the day, whoring myself to nicotine.
Has it influenced your comedy at all, like your stand-up writing, just being completely off everything? Because the specials you're talking about were really well received.
and the last few haven't been as well received.
Once you've gotten sober,
look, Sgt. Pepper's was arguably the Beatles' best album, right? Yes. It was nonsensical rubbish.
That was
right?
all on acid and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I don't listen to the whole Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It was a painting, like Julian gave me a painting. I'm doing more Paul there, but you know what I mean.
We sat down for a plonk,
Is that how you did it?
We would plonk, John and I would look at each other sort of like a mirror.
I'm just quoting him now. So, but
That's spot on.
I love Paul.
Were you an opera singer, Jim, before you get a chance to answer anything?
So this is a thing that always is brought up in my life.
Yeah, I love it. Is it a fake one?
So no, it's true. It's true.
Okay.
So I did school musicals because that was how you met girls, right? If you're not athletic, you go and do a school musical, join the drama club or whatever.
Mhm.
That's my theory on why actors are so short. Right, I think it's because they couldn't play sport at a high level, so they joined the drama club. It's all about meeting girls, right? So I think that's my theory anyway. Because
makes sense.
So I went and did musical theatre at school, and then there was literally like a talent scout came to one of the shows and said he could be a tenor. And we don't have many tall tenors, and that's a really like a hard thing in the opera company. And so they sent me off to singing lessons with this guy called Richard Gill, who was the head of the chorus master in Australia. I sound like an old person talking about relatives you've never met. And I studied for a while, and then when I was 17, I was put in the Australian Opera in the chorus for one production of The Flying Dutchman, which was Wagner. And so I was just like I was literally singing in German, didn't know a fucking word of what I was saying. I would just buy
in German. Holy shit!
Well, I was just buying a CD and just mimicking the German. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And then they'd teach us the songs, but I didn't know what the songs were about or anything. So after that, I went and studied at WAPA, and WAPA is the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts, which is where Hugh Jackman studied, which they had a full scholarship ride to study musical theatre. By the time I was 2 years into that, I was already being paid to be a stand-up comic, and I just quit it in the middle of the night and just went off on tour. But I always wanted to be a stand-up comic, but I thought, you can't study that at university. I wanted to study something in the performing arts. And so I studied musical theatre. And I can't sing anymore because cigarettes and yelling on stage, and I've had polyps and nodules. And nodules. I've had the surgery and all that. You can hear me voice is pretty raspy now, but I could sing and it's weird because everyone always goes, sing us a song when they find out you're an opera singer. And it's like, you wouldn't have gone up to Pele when he was hadn't played soccer for 50 years and gone, go on, do a bit of keepy uppy.
Let's see a bicycle kick.
Yeah. So it's a muscle I haven't really worked, but I did do that. I still have fondness for musical theatre. I still go and see any production that comes to LA. I have
two follow-up questions.
Okay.
One, did that garner any puss because you went through a lot?
Is that a new phrase? Garner or puss?
Okay. I will say this to any young heterosexual man who can sing a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you go to university where they audition thousands of people to get 30 kids, it was like going to Fame.
Yeah.
And half of the class is male and half the class is female. Those girls have been doing dance lessons since they were bloody kids, right? Singing lessons, acting lessons, all that type of stuff, right? All the boys have been doing the same. The 30 kids in my year at university, I think out of the 15 boys, 10 of them were gay. And that the numbers don't lie. That's too good. It
tilts your way for sure.
I'll tell you what, it worked a lot better than being a comedian saying the word cunt all the time.
Yeah.
It didn't bring as many women in as you think.
You could name your next special.
Only a certain kind of woman likes that kind of talk.
Yeah, they were fun girls who did like me, but they didn't come in their masses.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, here's your special, Jim. Ready? This is a new name.
Here we go.
Tall tenor.
Tall tenor. I'm calling my new special. It hasn't come out yet. It's called Two-Limb Policy is the name of the special.
Okay.
Two-limb, like L-I-M-B? Two-limb policy?
Because I have, and I talk about this on the special, but because I did that sitcom with the disabled people, a lot of disabled people come to my show. I have a meet and greet after the show. I always let the disabled people join the meet and greet, and I take photos with all the different people with disabilities. Okay. But I can't like someone wrote to me and said, hey, I'm bringing my uncle to your show. He's disabled. Can we come backstage and meet you? And you can't write back how disabled.
Right.
And you can't ask for a photo, right? But we have to have some parameters. I just can't have a lineup of people with fucking dyslexia bothering me.
ADD.
So I have a 2-limb policy. You have to be missing 2 limbs, or they have to be doing nothing. And if you have 2 limbs that are fucked up, you're lucky enough to have a photo with me.
Huh.
Yeah, so
Take a picture of this cunt.
You're allowed to come backstage and meet this cunt if you're missing 2 limbs.
right.
Okay, that's good.
I have a question also
Big
from the
throw
audience.
container on that one.
At some point, we got to get to your show because we know.
The show is. Go ahead, Dana.
We're out. You're on a little press tour for your show.
Sure, we can't forget the
I
show.
forgot about that. The snake on
The
Fox.
snake. I saw
The
your
snake.
billboard hogging fucking Sunset Boulevard.
I'm not on the billboard. That's how
No,
confident
that was an
they are in me.
executive decision.
What, David? What was your Fox show with Snake in the title last year?
Oh, snake oil.
Snake
Snake.
Oil. This is called The Snake. His
The
was called Snake Oil.
What
how does-
channel?
We're part of the snake
Fox.
family of Fox.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
the same billboard. Yeah, it's by the Chateau Marmont.
Yeah. So we snake it up. Yeah. The Snake is a reality show that's similar to Big Brother or Survivor or Fear Factor. It's got elements of those 3 shows. So it's good looking people living in a house in the jungle doing tasks where they have to eat gross food. But what the secret sauce in the show is, instead of like an elimination ceremony or where people get voted off anonymously, what happens is the person who wins the task gets to become the snake. They get the coveted snake medallion.
Mhm.
And then if they get the snake medallion, they get to save the first person. And the person who gets saved gets to save one person. The person who gets saved gets to save another person. It snakes down the chain, setting up a chain reaction. So you don't have to have a majority rule to like you in the show. You just need to make really 1 or 2 friends that will keep saving you. But you can't repay the favor. So if someone saves you, you got to save another person. So like you get a lot of skullduggery. You get a lot of
Skullduggery.
skullduggery.
There's not
Yeah,
enough
that's-
skullduggery out there.
Yeah.
Well-
I tell you, I was explaining this show the other day on some Good Morning something, and I said the word skullduggery because that's what I always think about the show. And you know what skullduggery means, like pirates and stuff. And, yeah, old English term.
Skullduggery.
Yes, skullduggery. And the lady went, so if you want to watch the snake, there's a lot of skull-buggery. Buggery is the English legal term for anal sex, right?
Yeah, I saw that on the Churchill movie. Oh, you bugger. Remember that? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The word buggery is like the legal term. The buggery happened, blah, blah, blah. And so she just said on morning TV, come and watch some skull buggery. And I think it got through. I don't think anyone noticed.
Fucking everyone tunes in for that.
Could I just for a second? That's a winner. So just for a second, going back because I kind of spaced out for a second. So you're in Argentina in a jungle. Where is everybody? What are they wearing and who are they?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I set out at the start of the show, episode 1, I'm standing on a crate and there's all these crates around me, which was meant to be like the crates you'd bring reptiles in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, come out of your crates. You know, I've got an earpiece in. I don't quite know who's who. And they opened the crates up. And fair income, man, we had like a priest with a collar on. We had a cop with the bulletproof vest. We had a rodeo rider with the chaps and spurs and all that type of
It's
stuff.
like the village people.
Yeah, exactly. And we had I've got a village people story to tell you in a second.
Okay.
So we had
Priest, cowboy.
an OnlyFans model, right? I thought, you know that show Jury Duty
Yeah.
or the Joe Schmo show? I thought I was the only real person and they were all actors for like the longest time.
Like they were tricking you.
They were tricking me,
You were
but
James.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
I was the mark. I
I
thought I
see.
was the mark.
It's a good idea, actually.
It's
That's
not
a
a bad
great
idea
idea.
for a show, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
And you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't
Because
really
first
know
of
what
all,
the fuck's going on.
who employs me to be a game show host?
Yeah,
like it's already weird. And so all these people go, and so right up until the show aired, I wasn't completely sure. But I'll tell you my village people story. So I do another podcast with a comedian called Amos Gill, another Australian
1%
comic.
Club.
I do the 1% Club in Australia, but this podcast is called ATM. at this moment it stands for. It's a different search on the internet. Anyway, so
Lingo.
Yeah, lingo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the other one. I got to research that again.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was doing a joke about how Trump has the YMCA playing at all of his concerts, at all of his benefits or rallies, and everyone does the dance and all that type of stuff, right? Yeah. And I said it's so funny that song is about having gay sex in the showers, and now all these evangelical people are dancing and stuff to the song. Seems a little odd. I got a cease and desist letter from the Village People saying that I was going to be sued for defamation for saying that the Village People music had gay overtones.
Does it not?
It turned Victor Willis, who's the cop. I guess he was always out the front, and he never turned around to notice the rest of them because he's married to a woman called Karen Willis. Before that, he was married to Felicia, like Mrs. Huxtable from the Cosby Show.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
married to her back in, and you're not allowed to say that the Village People music has gay overtones,
What?
or they will sue.
What about in the Navy?
Well, we get sued now, possibly.
We could be possibly sued now. I said, what about in the Navy and Macho Man? They're as gay as fuck. Come on now. Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on,
Let's say the lawyer.
now.
Come
There's
on now.
There's a lyric in the Navy called "We want more seamen." Like, I'm all for a double entendre, but don't try to tell me I'm a moron.
I think they're just saying, come on, guys. They haven't been outed to like 3 people so far. So
it's a catchy freaking song, man. And
it is good.
I tell you what, because after that, I started listening to their other music. It's banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
It's like for disco music, You Can't Stop the Music is a hell of a song.
I mean, that's such a hook.
Now, my son watching you in Wayne's World 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he knows every step because he loves that movie so much.
Did you do it in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were the construction worker, weren't you, in that?
Yeah, I was dressed as a construction worker. I think we're running away from the bad guy or something. Somehow we end up in this nightclub, and Wayne and I are now doing YMCA with these people.
Yeah, they're all doing the YMCA, and like you're all spies. Like you were up a telegraph pole, and then you heard something, and then I think Wayne was like a cop, and then somehow they found an Indian for no apparent reason.
That's right, and all of a sudden it comes together.
And then all of a sudden it was a little bit like what's that? Police Academy, when they ended up in the Blue Oyster. It was a little bit of that. They ended up in the wrong nightclub, and then they do it, but that's the dance because you guys all did it, and then you actually did the thing, and then I always say, like, if the Village People actually do get me, if I get my day in court and I am being sued by the Village People, I'm going to go not guilty.
Yeah, act it out.
Is there any character left? I mean, they've got the construction worker, the Indian. I mean, maybe you come as some other costume. I don't know.
Just come as Crocodile Dundee, just off the side.
Croc.
You know.
What is your son's name that loves that movie?
Hank.
Hey, Hank, this is Garth. I got a different haircut, but thanks for watching.
When we end the podcast, can he come up and say hello very quickly? He's downstairs playing video games.
Normally, Jim, that would be fine.
Camera shy, just bring him up.
We have to whisk Dana off.
Will he come on, or you want to do it with off camera?
He's also a big Joe Dirt fan. So
okay, bring him on.
Let's compare box office.
Joe Dirt was my first Australian trip. I went to Sydney.
Oh, what, you filmed it in Australia?
No, when they had a premiere there, it was the same. It was the night after the premiere of Moulin Rouge. And I went down there and I went to a concert and they sat me next to Baz Luhrmann, all this great Australian stuff.
He still flies the flag. I always argue that things like, I guess Moulin Rouge is an Australian film. Australian actress, Australian director, filmed in Australia. Kylie Minogue plays the Tinkerbell thing. It's an Australian movie as soon as Kylie's involved.
Yeah, Kylie's
right.
Kylie, you can't speak ill of Kylie.
No, I think she's great. I have great Australians are great. I do like it. Go ahead, Dane. And then I have one last story.
It's just weird sometimes. I was hosting Vegas showcase for movies, and Baz Luhrmann was there at Moulin Rouge and Nicole Kidman. So I was hanging out with him. It's just kind of weird. You brought it up, and that's my whole story. There's no joke, nothing other than
It's
I
not bad.
met them at the promotion of the thing.
Well, I think
This
it's
is a
Australian.
nicotine whore. Nicotine whore. It brings two nicotine whore. Who is stronger, me or you? Sorry, whores. Sorry, go ahead. That was just for me. I'm a little punchy right now.
I like back in the pocket. Jim, one last question.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we're going to ask everyone again, so you can have
Sure,
one
sure,
more
sure.
shot.
Sure.
Mhm.
This is a story from a viewer that said, if this is not a funny story, we'll just take it out. I don't know if this is a funny
Okay.
story from you. That
Okay.
your father sat you down, you and your wife, to tell you something.
I can't. I can tell you that off the air, but I can't tell it on
Okay.
the air.
Oh, wow,
Okay.
that's great.
That feels good enough.
My dad doesn't. Yeah, I can tell you off the air. I
Okay.
can't tell it on the air. Sorry.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we have an
I
after
can tell it
hours section.
because
so-
my dad doesn't know how to get onto YouTube or anything like that. But it will get back to him on this
It'll get back
podcast.
in for sure. I didn't know what level of it was, but I
Oh, it's
apologize.
100. It's
too much.
100% true. It's 100% true.
Okay.
That story. It's.
I don't
it's-
know the story. That's why I'm waiting to hear.
We're gonna, just
Tell me
the
after.
tease. We don't need the story, but just the tease is gonna trend.
Yeah, we like the
There's this, hey man, it's all about clicks. So let me ask you a
Now, where,
question.
before you bring Hank out, one more
punchline to the
question from
story.
Hank.
is- I'll tell you this. Okay, we can cut it out if you want. I can tell it to you right now if you want to actually hear it.
No, I don't. I'm
No,
scared.
okay.
I don't want it to
I'm scared
accidentally
that
get in.
somehow. No, we don't want to embarrass you. I just think that
We don't know how
Murray-
this works.
Did Alex Murray tell you about this story because he knows.
Yeah, he
that we-
did.
Oh, okay. Because me and David have the same manager, so
Yeah.
that's what's happened there.
Well, I'll tell you this about the Carvey family, my childhood family with 5 kids and Bud Carvey and all that stuff that went on.
Yeah.
Throw away the key because no one would believe it.
Yeah, there's some things we leave
stays
off
in
the
vault.
podcast, I
Something better not share. Just know that it's a little wacky.
Look, he's 84 this year. If I'm back on the podcast in a couple of years, I might be able to tell you.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
give it some time.
2027. We're going to hold you to that.
All right, thanks, Jim. We'll talk to
Really
you soon,
nice
buddy.
hanging out with you, man. So,
Thanks for having us, lads. I
all
really
right.
appreciate it.
Enjoyed it. So it was kind of nice. We just
Hung up
finished
with Jim. Yeah,
Jim Jefferies, who's been around for a while, is really I found him very affable, funny,
Mhm.
likable, interesting.
yeah. I like. I met him before. I was giving him shit about Brad Pitt because Brad's a great guy. He knows Jim. I think he went on his show in the old days. Jim and I used to work on the same lot. I think when I was doing maybe Lights Out or something, he was around. So super cool dude and big. And he travels. He goes all over the world. That sort of surprised me, the places he goes and how much he can fill them up over there, because who knows? You just never know who knows you out there in the world.
It is kind of a thing. Yeah, the international comedian who just can go all over. I haven't
Yeah.
done that. I mean, you did Australia.
Yeah.
Maybe
I didn't do
it's time-
stand up though. I just went there to do premieres. I didn't
Oh,
even,
okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
I wouldn't know. It's scary to go over there because I would love to go, but they said if you go the first time, you just go a small theater, just try to fill it up just to see if it works. And then you go back. Now people know you do it, et cetera.
Well, I like the idea when he said that you can just drive around the UK.
Yeah,
And
way
if
better.
if you don't like getting in an airplane, you drive around the UK. So that seemed kind of cool. I mean, in Scotland, I have relatives there, distant. I have McDonald on one side,
Mhm.
but it seems kind of cool. Maybe we should do a little tour there.
I also like that he has disabled people come back for a meet and greet. That was kind of a cool thing I haven't heard before. It's a good idea.
Because his stand up, at least in the old days, I was going to ask about his new stand up, but it was kind of rough and tumble.
Mhm.
And then juxtaposing that he helps this disabled person, and then now he has a following backstage and does meet and greets. I mean, that was
Mhm.
fascinating because it makes him, it just makes him extremely likable, of course, and human.
Mhm.
That is his meet and greet, and the 2-limb thing. The dad can't have, you have to have more, at least 2 limbs not working.
Yeah, I still like Tall Tenor as a name. That's a good name. Maybe not for the next one, but it's a good special name because it's so odd that he goes, they don't have many tall tenors. When do you hear about an opera singing
I'm the
comedy
tallest tenor
comedian?
you're ever going to see in your life. My Australian accent sucks right now, I'll admit. But I watched a show, an Australian show once with my wife, and then I had it so fucking good. Now
Oh, fucking now. If anyone can get it, you can. I can't believe they can do American so well. Australian's a very tough one too to do.
Right. We mentioned Margot Robbie in that conversation too. And she also does a perfect American accent.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, when they came over here, because I went to a speech coach for some movie to do a New Hampshire accent. And she was like, I said, when they come over, what do you do? She said, well, we say, are you from Brooklyn? Are you from Florida? Are you from Arizona? Are you from North Dakota? Like there's tiny differences all over. So it's not just American accent. They can have one bland one, but is it Southern? What kind of Southern? So there's so many ways to go with that.
Yeah, it's like Americans are enamored by certain accents. And of course, if you meet an Irishman, how are you going? You're sort of like, whoa, from those Irish movies. But I have Irish relatives who ended up in the Bronx in New York. And they'd seen all the Scorsese, De Niro films. And the first guy that talked like, hey, what are you two doing today? What are you doing over here? They were like almost weeping with joy that they're talking to somebody who talks like
it's
this.
really like that.
To them, it was like amazing. If I had someone with a Liverpool accent, I'd be like, oh, wow. But they just love that, the exportation of the East Coast accent, all those mafia films. It's huge.
Yeah. We almost got that story up out of him at the end too, but I have a feeling it was a little rough on the edges.
Yeah, I think the thing about Jim, he came to play. He was very funny, had a lot of energy, and at the end he goes, "Was it all right? Did I talk too much?" I thought that was kind of human because
I know. Please
I
talk.
said we love a comedian coming on, and here's a great story. You know, the Russell Crowe restaurant story and stuff. So very much enjoyable.
Well, thanks for listening. As you know, Monday we have another show. And if you have any questions for us, you could try.
Questions.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. Fly on the wall at Audacy.com. So
Audacy.com.
What are some subjects they can ask about, which is pretty much anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would think, how are you feeling about interacting with AI? Do you feel it's a good thing or it's going to take over? Are you frightened of it? Do you own Bitcoin?
These are questions they can ask us, right? And then we answer them.
You ask. We're experts.
We're experts in every field.
Maybe I got this wrong. I just want to know.
No, you got it right. They can ask anything they want. We just say something.
If you're thinking about marrying someone, man or woman, and you want to tell us the situation, if you have doubts, we will tell you whether to marry or not. We will maybe accidentally change your life with these questions or not. I'm not saying I have no ego about it, but feel free to ask us anything that's going on in your life. Or I guess, do we want to invite politics? That's
maybe anything, religion, politics. We have foolproof answers for everything.
Nothing's off limits, and we do have the answer. David's nickname in real life, I'm just putting it out there, is the Oracle. When you need advice or a question about finance or life issues or anxiety and depression, how to defeat it, anything, the Oracle, a.k.a. David Spade.
Hey, guys, if you're loving this podcast, which you are, be sure to click follow on your favorite podcast app, give us a review, 5-star rating, and maybe even share an episode that you've loved with a friend.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, please subscribe. We're on video now.
Fly on the Wall is presented by Odyssey and executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Heather Santoro and Greg Holtzman, Maddie Sprung-Kaiser, and Leah Reese-Dennis of Odyssey.
Our senior producer is Greg Holtzman, and the show is produced and edited by Phil Sweettech.
Booking by Cultivated Entertainment.
Special thanks to Patrick Fogarty, Evan Cox, Maura Curran, Melissa Wester, Hillary Schuff, Eric Donnelly, Colin Gaynor, Sean Cherry, Kurt Courtney, and Lauren Vieira.
Reach out with us any questions to be asked and answered on the show. You can email us at flyonthewall@audacy.com. That's AUDACY.com.